Seedance 2.0 just dropped, and it's genuinely wild. You get 30-second clips that look like real footage, audio synced in automatically at no extra cost, up to 4K output, and multimodal inputs so you can feed it images, video, and audio all at once. And I went through every claim people are making about this thing to see what actually holds up. And here's the crazy part. On FL.ai, you can run Seedance 2.0 at 720p for 30 cents per second. That is not a typo. And community users are already generating 24 usable ad clips from one product photo for under $40 in compute, which I verified against third-party sources. Stick with me for the next few minutes and you'll know exactly which claims are real, which ones are straight up marketing spin, and which ones just aren't there yet, because if you're sleeping on this, you're already behind the people running it right now. Alright, so real quick, my name is Brian and I'm in these tools 12 hours a day so you don't have to be. Cross-referencing vendor claims against independent reviews and actual API pricing, so you get a straight answer instead of a press release. I read every comment on this channel, so drop a line below and tell me what AI video tool you're currently using or curious about. So, here's what's happening right now. The current way people make short-form video ads is genuinely good. You hire a videographer, you get real footage, real lighting, real audio, and the output looks professional because it is. The quality is there, the brand control is there, and for big budgets, it makes total sense. But there's a massive problem. You don't own that production pipeline. You're renting a crew, renting a studio, renting an editor, and every revision goes back through someone else's schedule and someone else's invoice, so you can't just spin up 24 variations of an ad overnight because you felt like it. And that dependency is exactly the gap Seedance 2.0 is trying to fill. Okay, so one of the biggest claims floating around about Seedance 2.0 is that it can generate up to 13 minutes of video in a single pass, which would be a huge deal because long-form AI video with no degradation over time would basically change how you'd approach scripted content, short films, product demos, the whole thing. And so I went digging on this one. So I tried to find any source, vendor, or independent that actually backs the 13-minute number. And I checked the vendor page, the blog reviews, the hands-on write-ups, the API docs, the list goes on, and every single one caps Seedance 2.0 at 30 seconds per clip, with some sources putting the ceiling at 15 seconds, so the 13-minute claim has no sourcing behind it. Now, the no degradation over time part is actually true, but only within a single 30-second clip, which is a narrower promise than it sounds. So if you're planning to use Seedance 2.0 for anything longer than 30 seconds, you'd need to stitch clips together manually, and that's a real workflow consideration you should plan for going in. Alright, so let's talk about the pricing claim, because this one actually matters in a real way. Seedance 2.0 is being marketed at roughly 30 cents per second with audio included for free. And if that's accurate, it's a genuinely different unit economic situation for anyone making ad content at scale. So I checked it against third-party API pricing to see if it holds up. Here's how it breaks down on FL.ai, 720p at 0 to 3024 per second, which is the verified number and not a rounded estimate, then 1080p at 0.682 per second, which is more than double, so that's worth knowing, and then audio, included at no extra cost, whether you turn it on or off, and that part checks out completely. The caveat is that 720p and 1080p are very different price points, and 4K or 10-bit output would push costs up further from what I could find, so the 30 cents headline is real, but it's specifically for 720p, and if your deliverable needs to be 1080p or higher, you want a budget closer to 68 cents per second and build your cost model from there. Now this next one is the claim that gets people most excited. Seedance 2.0 can supposedly generate near-reality 30-second vlog-style ads from a single product image, one photo in, and a commercial-ready clip out with audio included. And if that's actually working in practice, that's a pretty big shift for small teams and solo creators who can't afford a full production budget. Okay, so I went in thinking this was another one of those situations where an AI video tool promises photorealism and delivers something that looks like a fever dream. But then I actually tried it. And the community reports back this up. One product image, one afternoon, 24 usable ad clips, under $40 in compute, and the native audio-video generation is what makes these clips read as real. The key thing to understand is that the audio and video are generated together natively, so that's not a post-processing step baked in after the fact. It's baked into the model itself. which is why the clips read as real commercials rather than silent footage with music slapped on top. And multiple independent reviewers called the output nearly indistinguishable from reality, which is a strong claim, but it's coming from several sources. Quick pause. And if what you've seen so far is already useful, hit subscribe because the next video on this channel goes deeper into AI video workflows for people actually running ad campaigns, and you'll want that one. Okay, back to it. 2 more claims to get through, and one of them is kind of wild. So the next claim is about what Seedance 2.0 calls automatic narrative sequencing, where the idea is you feed it multiple references, images, video clips, audio files, and it automatically constructs a coherent plot or story across all of them. And if that's real, it means you'd be building multi-scene content without editing software, which is a big deal for solo creators. So I tried building a short product sequence with multiple inputs, and the multimodal capacity is real. Up to 9 images, 3 video clips, and 3 audio files in a single pass. But here's the part that changes the math. You have to use mentioned syntax to bind each reference manually, so that's not automatic. It's powerful, but it's not automatic. The honest take is that this is a partially true claim. The multimodal input is a genuine strength, and being able to bind 9 images, plus video and audio references in one generation, is not something a lot of tools do, but automatic overstates it, because you're doing real prompt engineering with structured syntax, which is a skill you need to learn. And that's not a deal breaker, just not what the marketing implies. Okay, last claim, and this one is kind of a head scratcher. Seedance 2.0 is being marketed as outperforming Flux 3, which is a bold comparison because if it's true, it would tell you something concrete about where Seedance 2.0 sits in the quality hierarchy. So I went looking for any head-to-head data, any benchmark, any public eval that could actually back this up. So I tried to find Flux 3 as a public model and came up with nothing. No model card, no spec sheet, no release, because Flux 3 does not exist as a public model right now, and the only thing I could find was a preliminary vendor eval, showing a 52% preference for Seedance 2.0 outputs, which sounds like a win until you realize 52% is a coin flip. That's not a win, that's noise. I take this one with a grain of salt entirely because you can't verify a comparison against a model that doesn't exist publicly. It might be an internal benchmark reference or anticipatory marketing, but I couldn't find any sourcing to know for sure. So this claim should not factor into your decision to use Seedance 2.0 right now, because there's nothing concrete to stand on. So here's the real picture of where Seedance 2.0 actually delivers. Other people are paying a crew for a shoot to get one ad, while you're generating 24 variations off a single photo for under $40. They're spending days in post-production syncing audio, while you're getting audio baked in automatically at no extra cost. And they're locked into one resolution while you're scaling from 720p up to 4K, depending on what the job needs. Now, where Seedance 2.0 falls short, the 13-minute long-form claim is flatly not supported by any source, and every source caps it at 30 seconds. The automatic narrative sequencing requires real manual work with mentioned syntax, and the Flux 3 comparison is unverifiable because the model doesn't exist yet. And just so you know where I'm coming from on all of this, I have no relationship with the company, and this video isn't sponsored. So here's what you should do. 1. Go to fal.ai right now and look up Seedance 2.0, confirm the 720p pricing yourself at $0.324 per second, and don't just take my word for it. 2. Grab one product image you already have and run a single 30-second generation, because that's your real-world sanity check on the ad quality claim, and it'll cost you under $10. 3. If you want to try the multimodal input, read up on the mentioned syntax before you go in, because it's not hard, but knowing it upfront saves you a frustrating first session. 4. If your use case is a long-form content, do not build your workflow around Seedance 2.0 yet. Plan for 30-second clips and manual stitching until the long-form capability actually ships and gets verified. Within 2 years, I think tools like Seedance 2.0 will be the default starting point for short-form ad production. And the people running it now at 30 cents per second are building the muscle memory before it gets crowded. So if you're a solo creator or a small team who needs 30-second, high-quality, audio synced ads for under $40 in compute, you're early, and that's a good place to be. If this breakdown was useful, hit like and subscribe because the next video goes into actual AI video ad workflows, how to structure your prompts, how to manage the mention inputs, and how to get your cost per clip down as low as possible. And that one's going to be super practical, so I don't want you to miss it.